MIUI 14. Now, this was launched a couple of days back, and unlike other channels, we did not actually rush to make this video because I actually wanted to install it on one of our devices, try it, and then actually tell you what exactly is new. It's very rare that I exactly go ahead and make notes about what is new and what has changed and what not, because yeah, just like me, a lot of you guys would have had a lot of expectations from MIUI 14. So here I am. I've done my research. I've used this for the Mi 11X, and we will be posting a review for that topic as well. But before we get into the details, why don't you hit the subscribe button, because it doesn't cost you anything and it really motivates us to make amazing content like this. Now, without further ado, hello, awesome people. Welcome to PhoneOps. My name is Kailash. Let's get going. Now let's see here. This is the Mi 11X, also known as Elliot or Elliot In. Now I have customized this home screen to look the way you would want to see it. What I mean to say here is all the changes should be visible on the first screen itself, and trust me, there are a few changes and it's not really that exciting, and we are talking about the China ROM. So this is a developer beta, this is not a global ROM, this is a China ROM that we are talking about. Yes, it does have Android 13, and we will be making a similar video for the POCO X3 Pro as well. So if you have any of these devices, or genuinely if you like MIUI, please subscribe because it really helps the channel. Now let's talk about the changes one by one. The first change, that is of course the MIUI 14 icon. So the moment you boot into this particular ROM, you will see that particular icon. I have taken a screenshot of that. So let's actually go to the albums and let's go to screenshots. So this is what you will see on the setup screen, the initial screen. It will show as MIUI 14, right? This is the setup complete screen. So trust me, as far as the initial setup of MIUI 14 is concerned, it's exactly the same as MIUI 13. So there are no changes there at all. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the user interface, and a lot of people had quite a lot of expectations. Now, we will talk about the under the hood changes, what Xiaomi has promised, and that's an interesting topic. So we will definitely discuss that. But first things first, there are a bunch of widgets that are added to the home screen. You know, this pet here, this new style of widget. Now, definitely there are changes. But if you talk about the overall look and feel of the user interface, I would say they have revamped it by 10 or 20% at the most, not more than that. So you know, these icons, they look the same, but now they have an option to edit the icon. So as you can see over here, edit icon option is present. For that, you need to have it, you know, on the home screen. So click on edit icon, and the icon can actually be used in different shapes and sizes. This is a welcome addition. You can use it as a 2-in-1 landscape or portrait pill, or you can have a squircle icon like these. You can actually purchase some different icons and use them as well. So it will make slightly, you know, using your icons a little more better, if you will. You know, it makes the home screen look a little different. In my opinion, it's a fun way of customizing the operating system, but nothing really that useful. Now, once again, when talking about the home screen, if you actually go to the widget section, you will now see that it is the same old MIUI 13 China widgets over here. There are some new widgets, of course, and there is a new feel to the widgets, and it is sort of new, but not exactly something that you would expect from a big number upgrade or an Android version upgrade. For example, this pet widget over here, whenever you tap, he does some activity or the other. There's something mentioned here in the Chinese. Apart from that, I don't really see any other, changes made. Now, this weather widget is exactly the same. The animation, yes, it's definitely different. It's definitely better. The system feels lighter and better when you talk about these animations. And let me tell you this, Android 13 as a whole, I have been saying, even on AOSP ROMs or Google Pixel devices, Android 13 has been great in terms of smoothness, and that does transition to these custom skins for manufacturers as well. So yeah, the widget animations, they are definitely great. The app icon animations are more or less the same. You know, MIUI 13.5 or MIUI 14 leaked launchers, these animations are there. Now, this particular widget of tools over here, you do have like 4 and 4.8 applications. So you can directly launch them from here, or you can actually open this and scroll and see. Now, apart from this, if you long press this, you will have an option called edit folder. You can choose two different types of folders, and you can enable or disable highlighted apps. Now that's one change to the folder structure, and you can have many folders like this, you know, for your games, your editing applications, your media consumption applications and such. So this is a welcome addition. Apart from that, you know, there is this switch option. For example, if you've already set up your home screen and you want to switch to a different widget without disturbing the entire home screen, you can simply click on switch. It will take you to the widget menu menu, a similar sized widget can be replaced by the existing one. For example, let's try this one maybe. Okay, as you can see, it switched immediately. There is a slight revamp to the look of this, whole user interface, which in my opinion is good. But these icons, they have been made better to look. Apart from that, no major changes as far as functionality is concerned. App Vault more or less looks the same. Even if you press plus over here, you will get the same widget selection menu, right? Now, apart from this, if you actually go to wallpapers, yes, there is some change over here, right? You still have the same old super wallpapers, so no new super wallpapers. I was disappointed there because I like super wallpapers. But if you talk about these MIUI 14 wallpapers, yeah, they are new, they are better. There is this nature patterns wallpaper as well. You have these curves, molten glass has some new wallpapers, so they definitely look good. Now, something that I missed in MIUI 14, and I think they had this opportunity, but it's a missed opportunity from Xiaomi, is monet customization. So whenever you say change the wallpaper to a different colored wallpaper, the entire system doesn't get themed. Now, it does happen on my iQOO 90. It was happening on my Realme devices. So a lot of manufacturers, including Samsung, have adopted monet customization, but I don't know why Xiaomi is still reluctant. I really hope with the stable version, they will introduce this. Moving on, when we talk about the home screen customization, if you actually go to settings, you will see that this is the same old launcher that I've shown you so many times in app update videos. So nothing new at all over here. Everything is still the same. But yeah, one thing is good, when you go to recents, and I've said this in the past, you do get extended RAM. So 2.4 of 6 plus 5 GB. That is another neat addition in MIUI 14. I really don't know how much difference that makes to, actual usage of the system. But you have up to 5 GB of RAM that you can extend now. It requires a reboot, but yeah, and it's shown in recent app memory management as well. Now that's everything about the home screen. Now we will move on to settings and see what exactly is going on here. So the moment you go to settings, you will see that it's a standard China affair in settings going on, but these icons to the side have been updated. The scrolling is slightly more smoother. I don't really credit MIUI for that. I credit Android 13 for that. But if you go to my device, you will see that there is detailed info and specs. They've just changed the name of this sub menu, right? Android version, of course, for the Mi 11X is Android 13. And I really hope that POCO X3 Pro will get Android 13 as well, and even the Note 10 Pro. Now over here, this is a developer beta, so nothing much has changed. There is something called as hardware version that they have added. I really don't know what that means, but yeah, more or less everything else is the same. Now apart from this, one by one, let's quickly dissect the settings of this MIUI 14. This will be a slightly long video, but it will save you the trouble of understanding from other short videos as to what exactly has changed in MIUI 14. Right now, if you go to say MI account, a new user interface is found. Nothing much has changed over here. If you go to say SIM card and mobile networks, exactly the same UI, right? USIM toolkit, advanced settings. So if you go to advanced setting, there is this extreme mode that I'm seeing for the first time. Apart from that, yeah, pretty much the same. And I doubt that extreme mode will make its way to the global ROM version. Now, if you go to Wi-Fi settings, yeah, more or less pretty much the same. Additional settings has everything as the same. And Bluetooth, nothing new here again. Connection and sharing, everything is more or less the same. Some settings have been moved from here to there, and that's about it. Now, if we go to wallpaper and personalization, this is a section that they have overhauled or revamped. This is not something that is brand new, but yeah, they have made changes, ringtones and customization. There are a few different effects that are available over here, but still, majority of it is still MIUI 13 with a little more hint of smoothness. Now, if you go to display, good thing to see here as far as China ROMs are concerned, right? This is not MIUI 14 that I'm talking about, but this is a beta that is supposed to be for the Chinese version of the device, that is the Redmi K40. But even despite that, I have refresh rate options, right? No 90 Hz refresh rate over here. AI image engine, that is MEMC and HDR options are present, so that's a good thing. Control center, one of the biggest disappointments of MIUI 14 is the control center is still the same, no changes here. So you do have this, smart devices screen, and your music player is pinned over here. That's about it. Apart from that, nothing has changed in the control center. Always on display, yes, I know by now you're bored of me saying everything is still the same, and you really hope that I would show you just things that are brand new, but it makes sense to actually go ahead and try all of the settings. Even in sound and touch, there's not much that has changed, so we will skip this. Home screen settings we've already talked about. Fingerprint and face unlock is working absolutely okay, even though this is the first Android 13 build, so that's a good thing. If you go to security, security has a slightly updated user interface, you know. If you go to system apps and update it or update it from get apps, you will get this particular new update. Now, moving on, we have battery. Now, over here, if you can see, the battery life is pretty decent. That is one thing that I would like to get out of the way. I've had around 1 hour and 33 minutes of screen on time in 32 hours almost, and we still have 38% battery. Now remember, this is a device that is 2 years old and the battery has considerably aged. Even despite that, in heavy usage, I believe it should give me easily 5 to 5.5 hours of screen on time. Now as far as the battery UI is concerned, not much has changed, but if you go to the battery section over here, for this device, you have the temperature that is normal. How many times have you charged it today? Optimized charging, automated tasks. Almost the same, but in some advanced or latest devices, for example the POCO F4, you do have the battery health meter that is incorporated, and I really hope that it comes to global devices, and over a period of time, if they improve it like Apple, it will be really useful. Now if you go to apps, you have things like system app settings, you have manage apps, and one thing that Xiaomi was bragging about is now you can uninstall almost majority of the application. The only amount of apps that you cannot uninstall is 8, so that's a good thing. They have also mentioned that MIUI 14 as a whole is a very light system. It is better in terms of RAM management, and these many times it is faster and fluid. In my 2 days of usage, this is not only what is new in MIUI 14, this is also a slight review of MIUI 14. My usage experience has been pretty good, but it is on par with what MIUI 13 ROMs from China used to be for this particular device. So did I notice a huge upgrade as far as performance is concerned on MIUI 14? No. And yes, we will talk about benchmark numbers. So everything is more or less the same here. There is a secure mode which is present, and yeah, you can go ahead and turn it on, which was introduced quite a long time back. And if you go to additional settings, you have almost everything that was the same. The memory extension menu does have a new user interface, as I mentioned earlier. Apart from that, all of them are absolutely the same, right? Apart from this, you do have screen time, which is the equivalent of digital well-being for Xiaomi, and yeah, it works pretty well. Yeah, so that's everything about settings, and that's everything about the user interface being fluid, or what are the great new features of MIUI 14 and stuff like that. Now let's talk about the charging speeds. The charging speeds are pretty decent. It takes about 1 hour 20 to 1 hour 25 minutes to charge from say 2% to 100%, and I did talk about battery life already. Now let's talk about hardcore synthetic performance numbers. So if we talk about Antutu benchmark, I'm a little disappointed over here because the Indian ROM easily gets me 695 to 698,000 points. Over here, we are getting 674, and the temperature did increase by 7.5 degrees, and the battery dropped by 4%. Next up, we do have the gallery application, which will tell us about the CPU throttle test. So we did throttle to 86%, and the average score was 257,111. So yes, the consistency in performance is there, but it's not as great as it is on stable ROMs. That is one thing to take note of. So if you're someone who's upgrading to MIUI 14 China version just for better performance, no. UI fluidity, yes. In extreme scenarios when gaming and the phone is a little warm and you get a call and stuff, the lag has been minimized, the improvement is there, but nothing substantial. If we then talk about Geekbench over here, you would notice that the scores are again dipped. 988 single core and 3236 multi-core. So all in all, if you ask me, MIUI 14 is just MIUI 13 enhanced, if you will. It has better fluidity, it has some new features, but it doesn't have anything that I would call a major Android or a major MIUI version upgrade. The worst part is a lot of Android 13 features out of the box are missing. So I really don't know what MIUI or Xiaomi are trying to achieve with this. It is a good update, yes, but nothing groundbreaking. So that was a complete list of what has changed from MIUI 13 to MIUI 14. We will be doing a side-by-side comparison with the Indian ROM and MIUI 14, and we will also be doing a speed test. So do subscribe if you have not already. So until the next one, keep smiling, take care, goodbye.